and welcome to my channel. Welcome to my new, very exciting series, Entering 30. I mentioned this on my Instagram stories recently. I've tried to film this video a few times and I was overwhelmed with stepping into this new kind of phase of my life where I want to be more vulnerable, to share more, to open up about things I've never opened up about online to this community. And so third time's a charm. Yesterday on my Instagram, I asked two questions. I said, what is the thing that is the hardest to be vulnerable about? And then I said, what is your biggest block for vulnerability? And got so many different responses that I just felt so connected to. And a few of you DM'd me and we were voice memoing back and forth or messaging back and forth. And I'm just feeling such a shift, a stirring in this community I have, this little precious online community that is my Instagram, my YouTube, my TikTok, and I just feel more connected to you guys than ever before. The more I grow, the more I get older, the more I experience life. We are all experiencing so much of the same stuff, and we are all afraid to share our truth. But when we do, we see that we're not alone. We see that we can bring whatever heavy, dark feelings we have to the light. And when we do that, it has this powerful way of dissolving the weight, and we're all carrying some of the same things. And essentially, that is why I felt pulled to doing this series, to pushing myself, because I feel ready and I want to really enter into being 30 strengthened and empowered to be myself fully. And I've been on my journey of healing and self-discovery and self-love for about 5 years now, and I'm finally at a place where I feel like I'm ready to share more, and I'm really excited about it. So I wanted to kind of first and foremost explain what entering 30 is and why I kind of came up with this and felt like I wanted to do this series. In short, I turned 30 in 8 weeks on June 26th. I am leaving my 20s and entering my 30s, and ooh, it feels really good. In honor of that, in honor of stepping into this new decade in my life, I wanted to almost create this ritual of entering in. And my intention with this, my intention with how I want to feel is I want to enter in with mental clarity. I want to enter in with more inner freedom, and I want to enter in stepping into the full embodiment and power of who I am. I think too, whether you're turning 30 or not, whatever age you might be, I think we could all grow, relate, and learn from this journey and even this practice of entering in to turning the page, to entering into a new chapter, to starting a new book. There's so much power when we decide that that's what we're going to do, and we enter in with ease and grace and self-compassion and love and excitement. So that is what this series is going to be. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things, opening up, like I said, about parts of my journey with anxiety, depression, with panic attacks, my grief journey, really what it means to age. I'm going to be talking about birthday expectations because your girl knows what it feels like to be anxious on birthdays. But today I wanted to kind of open up and give a reintroduction of who I am. I think the most powerful thing we can do for one another and for ourselves is to embrace change and transformation, and to be able to meet ourselves anew, to meet one another in a new way every time we're with each other. Anytime I get vulnerable, do you hear my voice right now? This is something, guys, and it's not just because I'm talking. I talk all day, and if I'm talking about whatever, this doesn't happen. As soon as I'm vulnerable, my throat starts being like, girl, we're gonna need to be quiet. We need to be safe. Calm down. Don't share too much. So I am reminding my body that I am safe. I'm thanking it for the way it has protected me in the past. But I'm also letting it know that I am ready to have a voice, to share, and to be loud in life, because I have been the quiet one my whole life. And I actually do love that about myself. I've grown to honor that part of my past in being the quiet one, in being the observer. It has taught me a lot, and now I'm ready to turn the page. You know, your body is powerful, and the more you tune in to what's happening on a physical level, the more you connect with it, the more you speak over it, the more you will be able to break through plateaus and blockages. You know, so many people don't recognize that their body is holding on to everything that you've gone through in life. Every struggle, every pain, every trauma, it's stored in your body unless you release it. Our body is designed for survival, to help us essentially just survive in the best way it knows how, which is protecting us, and that's okay. And when you understand that about your body, you can work with it and be in relationship with it, just like how I just spoke to my body about my throat, honoring it, thanking it for trying to keep me safe, but letting it know it's okay, I am safe, and I'm releasing the old and entering into the new. So that is for another day, because I really am passionate about that and would love to dive into that. But today we are doing a reintroduction. So let's do it. So who am I? Well, I'm me. Let's go into some identities, some logistics of who I am, which is my name, where I'm from. And these are all the things that I have really recognized and learned are identities, and I no longer attach to them. You know, it's interesting because in lots of ways we are taught that our identities are who we are, and so we become so attached that it brings a lot of pain. Oftentimes when we are triggered by something and it causes us a lot of suffering internally, it is because of an attachment essentially to who we are, and we feel attacked or not recognized for that thing that we are identifying with. So that's been a big part of my healing journey. I am originally from Ontario, Canada, from the Toronto area. My family still resides in that greater Toronto area, but I married an American, and we have lived in multiple states: California, Texas, and now, as of like 2 months ago, we are in Oklahoma. Who would have thought? Not I, but we're here, and we know this is exactly where we need to be, and life is just this adventure. That's how we see it. We are just open to being on the adventure. And so much of who I am today, who I am right now as my 29-year-old self, is because of the pain, trauma, and tragedy I've walked through. When you experience tragedy or trauma, loss, that it is this mark in your life. It is this line in the sand that changes you. It transforms who you are. It makes you see life so differently. And I think that's what's so fascinating about life, is there is suffering. It is inevitable. And pain only truly deepens joy. You will never know the height of joy unless you have felt the depths of pain. And I so believe that, because there's this weird aspect that I have experienced in grief, in loss, in death, and that is the beauty of life. So some little like personality quirk type things of getting to know me. Let me give you some memes that read my mail, that read me like a book. Here we go. I'm also the laugh at your trauma kind of gal. To me, some of even the richest friendships in my life are the people I can belly laugh with, who I can look at and we just know we are thinking the same thing, we are laughing at the same thing, we have that same humor. And sometimes it can be dark. Sometimes you gotta laugh at your pain. I love music. I love to dance. I love to have fun and embrace life. And I'm a very deep person. So if I'm getting to know you, like, I'm going deep probably right away because that's what I value in relationships, is not just like bopping around and knowing you, but like knowing you. Let me see you. Let me love you. That is very important to me in relationships. And that has been something that has even blocked me, I think, or hurt me in relationships. My attachment to almost that need to see people fully and for them to share that with me, because it's, that's not up to me. That's up to someone else to open up. And I have seen in my life where I've had too much of an attachment to that and therefore have just hurt myself through that. And so that's something I'm really working on as well. I'm a highly, highly, highly self-aware person, can be to my own detriment, but ultimately I just want to grow and enjoy life. I see self-growth and healing not as something to like be better, not as something to be better in society or be a better X, Y, or Z. Okay, my phone just ran out of storage. Meanwhile, I'm spilling green juice all over, but we're back. And where was I even? Where did I leave off? I think I was just saying how I view healing and self-growth. The biggest reframe that I've really done is recognizing that healing and self-growth is not to become better. It's not to become a better version of you for others. It's not to become a better version of you for society. It's not any of those things. Those are ripple effects, and that's great. But that is not the focus. And so when you can reframe it and remind yourself that ultimately healing and growing is actually just a way to expand yourself internally so that you enjoy life more, so that you experience more peace and love and joy, then it becomes this like effortless flow in life. You realize that everything inside of you is how you experience the world around you. It's how you experience your day-to-day life, your thoughts, your emotions, your expectations, the beliefs you hold. Those are all what determines how you see and experience life. So ultimately, I want more internal freedom, more internal peace. I want to experience life for all it's worth. And I know that means growing internally. Another little fun fact about me, if you're into astrology at all, I learned a lot more about astrology when I let go of the notion that it was evil. It is not evil. And there was a whole section of it when I studied to become an herbalist. It was in my herbalism course, because astrology used to be very deeply connected and intertwined to ancient medical practices. And that essentially is because of energy. We are all made up of energy. Everything in this world, in life, is energy, including our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts. It's all energy. And so when the planets move, shift, change, it changes the energy in our atmosphere. And so, of course, it is felt by everyone, whether you recognize it or not. And so, all of that to say, I am a Cancer Sun, Taurus rising, and Taurus moon. So if you know anything about it, that'll tell you something about me. I wanted to answer some questions because I had put up a box for you to ask me anything, and here are some of the questions I got. One was, what books do you like? I am an avid reader. I so love books. They have changed my life. They have opened my eyes and expanded the way I see the world. And I think if we only stick to the box of who we know, who we've grown up around, who is within our belief framework and personality type, then we will always be stuck seeing things quite small. Here's a link to my YouTube video where I talked about books I read last year, but here are just some other gems. Power of Now. It was one of the first books that really opened the doors to me healing on a very deep level. It's really just the power of stillness, the power of being present, which is all we have in life is this moment right here. So no mud, no lotus. Thich Nhat Hanh, incredible, incredible, incredible human being. He recently passed. No mud, no lotus. It's about suffering in life in all its beauty. Universal Christ. This book helped me so much when it came to healing from certain religious traumas. Another question someone had asked was, how did you grow up? Were you always taught this mindset? Yes and no, because most of what I've stepped into was healing from a lot of conditioned mindsets in growing up Christian. Just again, a lot of the conditioning that most of us grew up in, being in public schools, just in society, but also at the same time, I have really beautiful, loving, kind parents who I just adore so much, and I have such a great relationship with everyone in my family. So yes and no, if that makes sense. But definitely the bulk of my mindset now has come through this journey I've been on over the last couple of years. Anyways, this book, very impactful, especially if you're kind of confused with your beliefs, if you have grown up Christian or are just feeling a bit lost with certain things you disagree with and agree with and all of that. Richard Rohr, that was my catapult into feeling seen in what I truly believe and wasn't seeing around me. So Deepak Chopra, another one of my favorite artists or writers that has so many books. This book, Reinventing the Body and Resurrecting the Soul. Wow. If you want to learn about the mind-body connection and how powerful you are, this is it. Speaking of This Is It, my next book is called This Is It. This is actually what I'm reading right now by Connor Creighton, who is actually my second cousin, I think. But it is all about meditation, and it's a really great book. Okay, another question was, how have your relationships changed since embarking on healing? That's a great question. I think I have just been in a season of trusting that things will always fall into place, of trusting that those I love and who I know love me, that we are all on our own journey, and whether that is far apart for a season and then back together, or whatever it may look like, I just trust it. I actually saw this the other day and couldn't agree more. Relationships can be tricky, and I know that because we are bringing our stuff together, all of the junk of our past traumas, pains, hurt, expectations, we're bringing those together, and so it can be a lot of work sometimes. And I've just been in a really big season of healing since Sage passed, and I don't do that well with having too many friends, but something that really helped me was something Jay Shetty said about relationships, and that there are actually 4 types of relationships, and you shouldn't expect all of them from one person. Basically, he was just saying you either can have a consistent friend, or I'm forgetting all the words he used, or a deep friend, or someone you go to for advice, or someone you can always count on no matter what. But when you're expecting all 4 of those from one person, that's just as hard as being all 4 of those for one person. It's nearly impossible. So it really helped me when it came to like, okay, what am I expecting from people? What do I need to let go and release? And to really see people for who they are and value what they bring to your life. Someone else said, what healthy foods do you eat? That is going to be a part of this series as well. If you've already downloaded the PDF, you would have seen that, but I am sharing how I eat, what I like to focus on for my mental, emotional health and state of being when it comes to food, but also how I nourish myself with herbs, with mushrooms, with supplements. There's also a link in the description box to download that, so I highly encourage you to do that. That'll answer that question. The last one I'm going to answer is, how do you journal? Let me tell you, journaling has been one of the biggest key components in my relationship with myself. So in my healing, my self-love, self-discovery, it is such a potent tool that we have to connect back to ourselves. And I had a video on that from last summer that you can watch, that I'll link up there. But ultimately, it takes practice. You have to learn what your flow is with journaling. For me, it's not a Dear Diary thing. I'm not recapping my days, but I am connecting with my spirit. I'm connecting with who I am and seeing what comes out. It's just what I use to speak to myself, essentially. And sometimes it'll be in poem form, sometimes it'll be me processing hard things, sometimes it'll just be notes from a podcast, sometimes it'll be a brain dump where I'm just getting things out. But ultimately, it is my place to come to feel seen, to validate myself, to find a safe space. This is my safe space with myself. I hold so much space for myself in my journal. So, entering 30, this is going to be a beautiful 8 weeks that I hope you can join me on. It's time to step into your truth. It's time to step into all that you are, to no longer let fear hold you back, and we're doing this together. If you're not already following me on Instagram and TikTok, follow me there. I post a lot of different stuff on both platforms. It's essentially just my expression. I am sharing my life experience, and I hope that through watching it, you feel seen, you feel safe to be yourself, and that you feel loved. And with that, I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here, for watching this video, for subscribing, liking, all those things. And I will see you next week.